Quiet! I think I saw a gamer. Quick, quick, shake that box of Kalis, that'll get him out. Yeah, here they come. Here he comes over here. What's that? What's that I see? Why, it is a gamer, and one who wants to know about a different game. Well, let's tell them about our explorations into the Lost Cities. Hi there, welcome to Board Games with Scott. This week I'm going to be talking about Lost Cities, which is a two-player game. I've had some requests from people to talk about a few of the two-player games, so I'll be doing these reviews every so often to tell you about a game to play when you don't got anyone else around but your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, or just someone that happens to be sitting there. Lost Cities, made by Reiner Knizia, was one of the first games to come out in this form of box. There's a number of two-player games that come in this form nowadays. It's for kids and adults. It's a great game for non-gamers and gamers to play together. It's a good traveling game because you really only have to carry a deck of cards with you. Takes, half an hour to play a full game, so I recommend this as a good two-player game. Let's talk about what you get inside the box. Here's what you get with the game. You get a board down here, which is not really needed to play the game, but can be nice. As I said, you can take this game with you, and then you don't really need the board. But it's a nice board to play with if you're sitting at a table. And then you get a number of these cards. Now these cards are nice, big, high-quality cards on good card stock. I've played this game a lot, and it really doesn't show a lot of wear. It's got nice illustrations on it. The illustrations actually all tell a story, which is pretty neat. You've got cards in 5 different colors: yellow, blue, white, green, and red. And within each color, you have the numbers from 10 to 2, and then 3 handshakes. And so again, each of these are indicating that you're going on an expedition. The handshakes actually is a neat little thing. The handshakes have a picture on the card, and that picture is actually replicated then on the 10 card, meaning you agreed to go upon this adventure and you finally made it to this adventure. So that's what comes with the game. You get a set of rules and a nice tray, but pretty much all you need to play the game are the cards, so you could just take that deck of cards with you if you go traveling. So the components are very nice. The pictures are fun to look at while you're waiting for your turn, so nicely produced game. The game is fairly simple. On your turn, first you play a card or discard a card, and then you draw a card. So you'll either play a card down in front of you, or you'll discard a card onto a pile and then draw a card either from the face down pile, or you can draw any of the cards that are face up that you see, except for the one that you just discarded. So that's the way gameplay works. It's very simple. And when you play a card, what you're going to be doing, if you play a card on the board, you are saying that you're getting ready to go on a journey. Now a journey, if you're going on a journey, it costs you 20 points. So if I decide I'm going to go on a blue journey, I play a blue card, I know right now I'm minus 20 points in blue. As soon as I start on a journey, I immediately lose 20 points because it costs you to go on a journey. Now when you play cards, you have to play them in ascending order. So I've played the 2 now, I can play any of the cards on top of that. If the next card I play is the 7, what that means is at that point I can't play any of the numbers between 2 and 7. So you always have to be going up when you're playing these cards. So I could then play the 8, 9, or 10 on top of the blue, but I can't play the 3, 4, 5, 6. I've lost that opportunity. And my points are going to be determined by adding these together. So right now I've got 9 points. If I am able to play the 8 on top of that, then 9 and 8 is 17. And if I'm able to play the 9 on top of that, then 9 and 17 is 26. So I've made some points. Because remember, I lose 20 points for going on this expedition. Right away, as soon as you play your first card in a color, you're down 20. Then you're trying to work your way back up. So generally, you're not going to go on an expedition unless you think you're going to have 20 points worth of cards to play. Usually you can play it safe and draw cards until you see you've got 20 points in a color, then go on an expedition. Sometimes you take a risk. If you've got a number of low cards, you might go ahead and play those, assuming that you'll draw some higher ones as the game goes on. But as soon as I play in a color, my opponent then knows I'm trying to get cards in that color, and they're going to be a lot less likely to get rid of those cards. They're going to be more likely to hang on to those high cards. So that's the way it works. Usually in a game you go on 2 or 3 different adventures. So the more that you go on, the higher your risk. Because again, every time you play a card in a color, you're down 20 points. And you have to work your way back up. So just playing a 2 would be a bad idea, because then you just have, you get negative 18 points. If you go on a lot of expeditions, you're probably going to lose some points on some of them. And that's the way the game goes. You take turns playing cards. Again, you can only go up from what you've already played, so you want to start out by playing your lowest one and go from there. There are also the handshake cards. There's 3 of those. And the handshake cards, the way they work is they are a multiplier to your score, positive or negative. You have to play a handshake card before you play any other cards in that color. So playing a handshake card is basically saying, you know, I'm willing to take a risk. I think I'm going to get more than 20 points in this color, and I'm going to double that. And you can play 2 handshake cards, which says I'm going to triple that, or 3 handshake cards, which says I'm going to quadruple that. Again, those have to be played before you play any cards in that color. So once you've played your first card in the color, you can no longer play a handshake card. That handshake card is useless to you. You may want to discard it or tempt your opponent to take it and start their own run. So that's what the handshake cards are used to do, to raise the stakes, if you will. So that's the way the game works, is on your turn, you play a card or you discard a card, and then you draw a card. And the game is over when you run out of cards. This is an interesting point to the game, is that you can help control the flow of the game. If you think you're winning the game and you want the game to end quickly, you continue to draw cards from the deck and you don't draw discards. If you want the game to go on, then what you do is you always draw from these discards and don't draw from the deck, because that's going to slow down the game. Because again, the game ends when the face-down deck goes out of cards. So if all you're doing on your turn is discarding a card and taking a card from elsewhere, then the game is not going to head toward its conclusion, and the opponent's going to have to draw cards to try and end it. So you need to decide whether you want the game to speed up or to slow down. There's a very nice pacing mechanism that goes on. So you've gone back and forth, you've played cards, you've drawn cards, and then someone gets the last card, and that ends the game. And notice the game ends as soon as someone takes the last card. So one of the things you have to do is plan ahead. You can always count how many cards in the draw pile, so you can plan ahead and say, all right, there's 6 cards in the draw pile. That means I could only get 3 more turns. I better make sure and play my big cards right away, because sometimes you can get stuck with cards in your hand that you wanted to get out, but you didn't have a chance to. So let's say this is the end of the game, and I'll show you again how scoring works in detail. The board up here is just used for these discards. So if these were your 3 suits that you decided to go adventuring in, let's see what your points would be. You add up the points. So 3 and 4 is 7, and 7 is 14, and 8 is 22, and 10 is 32. So that's 32 minus 20. Remember, you lose 20 points for going on the adventure. So you get 12 points for green. Yellow, you had a handshake. That means you're going to double any wins or any losses. So you have 2 and 6 is 8, 8 and 7 is 15, and 10 is 25. So again, you subtract your 20 points, that leaves you with 5. But because you had a handshake, you double that to make that positive, positive 10. So you've got 12 points in green and 10 points in white. Blue, you didn't do so well. You thought you had some stuff, you had some high cards, but the opponent saw you played the handshake and then never gave them to you. So you played 2 handshakes, so you're tripling your losses or your gains. You had a 7 and an 8 for 15 points. Again, you lose 20, so it's a total of 5 points in blue. You would lose 5, but you played 2 handshakes, so it's 3 times the loss. So that's minus 15. So you add up your points. You know, minus 15 plus 10 and plus 12 gives you a total of 7 points. So you got 7 points for the round, and your opponent would calculate their points. And usually you play 3 rounds and keep a running total of your points. And that's a game of Lost Cities. That's Lost Cities. It's a simple game to learn, but has some interesting strategies going on. Being able to control the ebb and the flow of the game and controlling what cards your opponent has access to is a big chunk of this game. Keeping information in your hand hidden while trying to make good choices and good risks on what you want to go for. It's a great game for parents and kids to play together, for any two to play. It travels well. You can take the game just in its deck of cards, take that along with you, so you can play it on an airline tray. It takes, half an hour for 3 hands, so you could stop at any point. So I highly recommend this game. I give it a good solid A. It's a nice introduction to this world of 2-player games. Portable, easy to learn quickly, and enjoyable. So I would certainly recommend that you give Lost Cities a try. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a gamer to find. Where did that gamer go? Oh no, he's into the magic cards. Quick, get a net. This is going to be ugly. Bye-bye.